We're gonna edit another layout today, Grace. Okay, so this is Jesse's layout. Um, and this layout has gone through a multitude of iterations, but here's where we are right now. So initially this bar, like the statistics bar, was going up and down, going vertically. Sorry, it has been a long day. I spent 7 hours sitting at Falk's desk today, so a little bit of time. But anyway, so this was going vertically, and these were like all lined up here, and this girl was over here. This is like a dermatologist. It's about skincare. But they try to like figure it out and how to fix it, like to figure out how to make it more, I guess, stylized. And this is what she ended up with. So this design right here was based on a layout that either Jesse or Kate found this. I'm not sure who, but one of them found this layout. Well, they found two layouts. I found this one and another one. The other one wasn't really going to work for what we are doing, and the other one was this, and I thought it looked great. And I did this little headline. And then I helped Jesse pick out a little color palette for these little pie charts. But yes, this is what we ended up with. And it's fine. It has all the elements. It just needs a few little edits on it to kind of not really make it resemble this more, but kind of just to organize it more. So that's that. So we're going to just start by turning the grid on, clicking W. And I just loaded this in here for you so you could see it. I don't need this bar either. All right, so as you can see, this is our color palette. This was kind of like a background color, but we're using this right now. So we have a lot of colors going on here. We have one, two, three, four. These are two different colors. Five, whatever. So because I think this design's gone through several different colors, so I think just some things have been changed, some haven't. But we needed a lot of colors for the pie charts. So the pie charts are looking pretty good. This section overall is alright for right now. But first thing I'm gonna do is look at it and see if it's on the grid. And I notice it's not on the grid, so we're gonna fix that. I'm gonna actually make this bleed off, so I'm gonna design it to the bleed line in both directions and design it to the center as well. And I'm gonna pull it up a little bit so it touches. Wait, why can't I grab it? Oh, because there's a text box here. Okay, I'm gonna pull it up a little bit so it touches this line right beneath the spacer. There you go, and now it's on the grid. So I'm gonna worry about this last, just because it's already in like a finite piece of space, and it's not really bothering the rest of the design right now. Next thing I notice is that there's a question mark here, so that means that there's a missing link. So I will have to text Jessie about putting that in the folder, but essentially, if she puts that into the proper folder in OneDrive, then I can click this, hit relink, and I can go locate it, and then it will be fine. Okay. Next thing I notice is that these are kind of disorganized, like the alignment's not really right. But before I align these, I want to check to make sure they're in the right style, and it looks like they are all in the right style. However, they're a little messy looking right now, and there's a lot of white space. And now white space is good. We like white space here. But an issue with it is if there's too much of it and it's not a consistent white space, it can look a bit sloppy. So I think you can kind of look at this and see that it looks a little bit sloppy. So yeah. Let me see. Is this I'm thinking I'm gonna change this color a little bit because the colors down here are all like similar tones, and this one's very different. So maybe I'll make it. Oh wait, no, it's not right. Maybe I'll make it this color. No, it doesn't really quite work. All right, let's try this one. No, it doesn't really work either. I don't know. Well, I mean, I could try like a lighter version of it. I'm just right now just trying to pick this out so it kind of matches. That looks a little bit better. I feel like that kind of highlights these nice colors more. And now let me I'm gonna actually also take a color from the pie chart or from our little color palette, and match it above. Is this Very Perry? This is not. It's Twilight Purple. That's very close to Very Perry. Okay. So I'm going to take this, double click over here, click and drag this down to this color, and it's going to eyedropper it. And yeah, so we just want to always not use too many colors. Like obviously we need a lot for the pie charts, but we want to establish some main colors. So for main colors, well, first of all, she didn't use this one and she didn't use this one because I told her not to. Although this is Viva Magenta, which is the color of the year. So that's nice. I just told her to use the middle six, and I think for the rest of this layout, we can just use it's not really the middle three, but it's like these three that are kind of like in the middle, just because we don't want to have too many other colors everywhere else. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this little element right here, and I'm gonna make this entire headline essentially just centered, and make sure this is also on the grid, because you wanna make sure everything's always designed on the grid. But you want to leave enough space also. So I'm going to select this and hit Command G to group it and then move it up so it's about centered. And now I can't really center this because this box is going to throw it off because this text is a little bit tilted. The box is very tilted. That's just how it works in InDesign, but I am going to look at the edge right here and the edge right here and make sure that they're on the grid and about the same distance away. So let's see, this is going to be 1, 2, 3. Let's do like 3.5 of these. Not including the space. Well, okay, because this is like half a space. So technically, this is actually 4 away because there's half and then 1, 2, 3, and then half. So yeah, so let's see. So 1.5, or 1, 2, 3. Well, basically half, 1, 2, 3, half. So it's 4. And on this side, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So just make sure this is lined up. And yeah, yes, it is. So you can see now it's centered. Great, look at that, how cute. I might move this up a little bit or tilt it a little more. I don't know. Or move this over. Just kind of make it look a little bit neater. It's just a lot of playing around. The thing that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to layout is like, I get a lot of people to saying like, oh, can you look over this? I don't know if I did it right. But the problem is there's not a right way to do design. There's just a wrong way. And that's really hard to explain to people who don't have like that experience. But anyway, we're going to just kind of go over a little process. So, yeah. In our reference right here, she's in a black box, and then the other part's bleeding off the screen. I'm not sure if that's going to look good, but I want to try it. So, what I'm going to do is... Oh, this is actually in the wrong font. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Miss Sarah Wasser, or Wasser, I don't know. I'm going to just move over there for now. And I want to make sure that this is spaced properly. So, I want to make sure this is just... one spacer off the page, right? Let's see. I'm going to select all of these and kind of just, wait, where's the end of this box? If I group them, then it's right here. I'm just going to move these in to see how much like I could fit. So how much space does this in reality actually need? Because right now, they're very wide. So I'm just going to move it over and I will get back to that later. But I'm just going to make this box, again, on the grid. You can see all of it's on the grid. I'm going to click this to flip it so it's black in the background, and then I'm going to hold down Option while I drag with my mouse, release my mouse, then release Option to duplicate. Okay, and then I'm going to click I on my keyboard to get the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to select this color right here, and there you go. So, they kind of have it overlaying it. Maybe I'll do, do I want to do black on the inside or purple? I kind of like the purple. Or did they do a stroke? Oh, I think they did like 2 boxes. Well, we're going to just do it like, we're going to do it like this. Because I think that this looks better. So, let's see. That's up 1. That's up 1. This could be up 1 as well. Well, that's not an entire box. I use this spacer. Okay. So, I'm just going to be consistent in how I use my space. And then pull this over this way. There you go. So, as you can see, taking up spacer. Oh, this one isn't. It's taking up spacer on every single side, and this one's not. And yeah, so I might actually want to hold down Shift and see what this looks like a little bit smaller, because it's kind of big. You know what? Yeah, it's kind of big. Okay, so I'm just playing around with the size just to see like what looks good, but I am going to make sure that I'm just spacing this consistently on all sides, regardless of what the size is. I just want to make sure that if I do it on one side, I have to do it on the other side, just like in math. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to take Miss Sarah over here. And right now she's this big. And it might seem like, okay, I'll make her really small. But I'm going to hit view and then actual size and see how big she is. And this is pretty big. It's hard to imagine right now that the page is this large because my screen is small. But if I hit view and actual size, it shows how big she's actually going to be. So what I like to do, or view and actual size, yeah. So what I like to do is I like to hold up an eagle eye or have an eagle eye at my desk and kind of look at the page and then put my fingers on her, like top finger at the top of her head and then bottom finger at like the base of her torso, and then kind of put that on the page and just see like how big is that object really. And it shows you, you know what, this is pretty big. It could be a little smaller. I'm going to move her up here. And now she's floating. And in order to get her not to float, I either have to ground her at the bottom or put a box beneath her. And I think that my best option right now would just be to ground her at the bottom. So there you go. Make her a little bit bigger. She could be a little bigger, but she's still not quite as big as she was before. There you go. All right, and now grab this text. And now I noticed that 2 things. First of all, colorful text box. I don't like that. I'm going to hit fill and then none. Second of all, this is in the wrong font. So we're going to select it and we're going to go to paragraph styles and we're going to make sure we're using the 2022 styles. And now we want in the caption font, which, are these the old fonts or are these the new ones? These might be the old ones. But I fixed it. Anyway, so I'm putting this in the captions font because it's kind of a caption. And let's see, does this person have a name on it or do they not? They don't have a name. They just have a question and an answer, but we're not going to do that. So let's see, we're going to take this and we're going to make it sure it's on the grid. So I'm going to try to do it in like 3 boxes. So as you can see, I'm not utilizing the spacer. It's just 1, 2, 3 boxes. And that looks like it's actually going to work out quite nicely for us. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to make it white just so it's visible. I'm going to kind of pull it down a little bit also. So it fits. There you go. All right, and now her name. So her name is this, and well, her name is this, and then that's her job. So PAC. I don't know what that is, and I might actually ask Jessie to change that to like her, like a different version of that name. Let's see, what should we use? Maybe infographic labels. It's a bit small. Or alt text. Well, hang on, let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see. Because it is an infographic label. Kind of. Oh, numbers infographics. We want to make sure that we're using something appropriate. Mini story headline. That might be fine to use. Because, I mean, this isn't like a headline. But this might be good to use. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So, yeah. So we can put her name maybe above her bio. Right here. And okay. So looking at this design, I noticed a few things. First of all, after I put the content in, I see that this box is not a good size for this. So I want to make it shorter. I'm going to make it a bit shorter because I also want to make it wider. So I'm going to extend it one out here, and then I'm going to extend this as well to that, not using up the spacer. Well, this one will use the spacer, and this one will not use the spacer. And I'm going to select this box and put it down here. All right, and then again, not use the spacer, but on this side I guess I will use the spacer. So to summarize, on this side and then not on this side, I'm just doing 3 boxes and a spacer, and then the bottom, which like you just have to make sure it's on the grid. It doesn't, I mean, beneath that's kind of details, and here's a spacer between this. The reason it doesn't matter if this is on the spacer or not is because she is not like the same size. I mean, she's not like a rectangle, so it's not like I'm going to put her exactly up to the spacer anyway. So in this scenario, it doesn't really make a huge difference. But in something where you're actually spacing things apart, you have to make sure that you're using the spacer consistently, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, you still have to do it. All right, going to click T, select my text. T gets the text tool, by the way. Hit paper, or no, actually I want white, not paper. Let's see. Or I guess paper is white on here. Okay, that's fine. So anyway, there we go. That's fine. And she looks like she should be moved over just a little bit. So what if I move it to this box? Will this look better? Yeah, that looks better. Well, no, I actually have to move it here because we need space for the box to end. I'm just kind of playing around with this to see how it looks good. There's just a lot of trial and error. Like, watching this might seem a little bit tedious, but really it is a lot of trial and error. Okay, so I'm going to scale her by hitting Command Shift. That's going to scale both her and the frame that she's in. I'm going to move her over a little bit. Just kind of make her like a good size. There we go. Look at that. How nice. And this is now on the spacer. I would want to make it smaller, but it kind of needs to be here. Maybe I'll move her title up. Or actually, no, this is fine. Okay, cool. Look at that. How nice. This will probably get some changes to it. But yeah, like this has it going over her head, and I kind of actually do like that. But I'm not exactly sure how I would adapt that to my design. So, I mean, I could play around with it and kind of see. Like, when things are headlines, sometimes it's okay to make them a little bit bigger. But I don't know if this is one of those scenarios. So we kind of just have to see how it goes while we work on this. Like, as you can see, now this doesn't fit properly because it kind of like overlaps with her. But I do like it better with the headline going over her. I do think that it kind of makes better use of her being a cutout. Okay, but I'll play around with this a little bit more when I'm done recording this video. But yeah, so for now, I guess I'll leave it like this. Okay, so going back here. Best face forward, directly from the dermatologist. So this section is called directly from the dermatologist. Oh my god. This section is called directly from the dermatologist. It has been an unbelievably long day. So what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do this entire thing in this little video, because I'm kind of just, again, talking about what I'm looking for, is I'm just going to design it so it looks more like the reference. And not because we want to, like, rip off people's designs, which we're not doing. It's just we want to make sure that whatever design we're using is something that's good. This got grouped with us. Okay, so I'm going to just move the questions over. The best thing to do, like, if you ever... Everyone cleans rooms differently, but, some people clean a room by taking everything in the room, throwing it on the floor, and then putting it all back neatly. And essentially, that's how I do layout. I don't clean rooms like that, but that is how I do layout, and I do know people who clean rooms like that, and maybe you're one of them, and maybe you're not. Either way, it's still applicable here. So I'm going to take a color from here. I tell you with the eyedropper tool, hit M, which is the keyboard shortcut for this. And I'm going to kind of make like this box. Because what's good about this design is the columns. Like, you can kind of see it, like, moving in your head. And the columns make it look really nice. So we kind of want to emulate that same sort of feeling that the columns give off. And obviously, it's not going to fit the exact same way, but we're going to try. So I want to make this 6 across because this really does have 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. And when we do paragraphs here, we usually do 6 boxes across if we're doing 3. So let's see, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then again. And I notice that now we run into a little bit of an issue, which is that this box doesn't line up with this. So now we have to go back to what we just made and fix it. So this is, again, more of the process. So, like, as you design things, you'll just kind of have to move things around as you go. But, like, really, what I look for is just consistency. So this, it kind of doesn't really work. But what I will say is that this is an infographic layout. So what that means is because it's an infographic layout, we can go a little bit differently from what we usually do for our basic stories. So it doesn't really have to be 6. It still just has to be on the grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of these, and I'm going to pull out this way, and that will make them all even. And now there's about an even space between them, but let's see if I put like one box, instead of using a spacer, if I just use the boxes between the spacer as a space. Because that's, when I moved it that way, what I was seeing was about what would work. Okay, so that works pretty well, but now there's this one little area left over here, and also Miss Sarah does not fit into our space. So I can either... Well, because she's smaller, I can make her into 1 space rather than 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 7 wide. And let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, this is 21 wide, this is 7. So, oh, that's 71. Oopsie. So that's 3. Okay. Wait, 3? Wait, 21 divided by 7. Oh, yeah. So 3 of these should exactly fit in here, but that's including these edges. So obviously if we're going to have a spacer between, it's not going to work. So let's see. What do I want to do to make this work? Maybe I'll make one box wider than another because, like I said, this is an infographic. So we do have a certain amount of creative liberty, but then you have to pay attention to how much wider and make sure that that works. It's literally all just trial and error, honestly, when it comes to this design. Okay, but we're going to move this over, and I'm selecting both of them so they both scale proportionally. But then again, have to make sure it's on the grid, because it's not on the grid, then it's not being done properly. But yeah, so I'm going to kind of play around with this afterwards, but essentially, I'm going to work to make this more consistent and to actually fit on the grid. And that's basically the moral of what I'm doing here. So to reiterate, color palette, trial and error, on the grid, and then make sure content fits design. Anyway, that's all for now. So I'm gonna finish this up because it's kind of easier for me to work on this, like when I'm not talking the entire time. But if I just had you watch me work on this in silence for an hour, you wouldn't watch it because that would be very boring. Or maybe you would, but I wouldn't. Anyway, that's all. and thank you. So when I was looking at this, I just remembered another thing I wanted to talk about. So I looked at this and I saw that this Q was kind of big and I was going to make it smaller. But then I realized that it should probably be in the briefs headline paragraph style. So I put it in that and realized it's going to be a little bit smaller. So this key right here is in this paragraph style, just with this color. And then that made me look at this and think, wow, this text is huge. And also the lettering is not good. So I reset it back to this style and I realized that it's also in the wrong size and style. So that's just another thing to be mindful for. Anyway, that's kind of like the PS of this whole video letter. See you later.